have the Deus 1 and the Deus 2 here, and hopefully this video can explain and clarify a lot of misunderstandings I see with the Deus 2 and Deus 1 users regarding the iron volume. Let's look at as a bigger picture than just the iron volume. It's more of a reject volume or a discrimination volume. The iron volume is interdependent and connected to your discrimination. Iron volume and discrimination. And if you're using somebody else's custom program, you know, some magic program that you got from somebody else, and it does really good over here, it might do really good for them over there, but you might get it and you might find a few targets here and there. It might work good, but what happens when you get it in some modern trash, that program? What happens when you get it around some EMI or other detectorists? What happens when you get it when you want to go deeper, or you get in some harsh soil? What settings are you going to adjust, right, to stabilize the machine and get better results? If you're using somebody else's custom program, you're not learning anything about the machine to when you do get in these harsh conditions or these varying conditions, you'll be able to learn how to dial the machine on your own. Just listen to the tones, listen to how the detector's responding, and adjust your settings accordingly. That's what I do. When I get to a site, I just push a button, put it in a stock preset program, and push buttons and dial it in, and continue to dial that machine in as I go, as the site changes, or as I'm getting in more trash or EMI, I'm adjusting the settings, and they're interdependent. They are. And with the Deus 1 and Deus 2, the full tones is different. The full tones on the Deus 1, I'm just gonna explain the Deus 1 here. I'm not gonna demonstrate. I'm gonna demonstrate with the Deus 2. The Deus 1 in full tones, when you discriminate, it's actually a silent discrimination. Even though you have an iron volume control on your discrimination, in full tones, that does nothing. You will not be able to get any tones from your discriminated targets out because it's silent discrimination. I can discriminate out this nickel in full tones on that machine there in full tones, and it's silent. I just skip right over it. I can't get that tone no matter what iron volume I have. And what I'm going to do is I have a nickel, a penny, gold ring, and some iron there, and I'm going to demonstrate with the Deus 2 here. It's pretty awesome how full tones works. So full tones is still a sliding scale. Even if I discriminate out this nickel right here, and I discriminate out this gold ring here, these both have different conductivities. And if I discriminate everything up to like zinc pennies or dimes or something, these two targets will still have a different tone, even though they're rejected out, because they're different conductivities. I'll show you that here in a minute. Very, very awesome, right? I'm always adjusting my iron volume or my reject volume to where I'm at, you know, whatever I want, however loud I want my rejected targets or my discrimination to sound. So I'll start out with the gold ring. Hope you guys learned just a whole bunch right there, right? The iron volume is the reject volume on this machine, or the discrimination volume. So sensitive full tones here, I might have to dial it back here because a lot of EMI. I'll just frequency scan here. Most of the time frequency scan doesn't work. If your machine's not going back crap crazy, there's no reason to frequency scan on all machines. If your machine is not making noise on the ground, there's no reason to ground balance, right? The frequency scan or frequency offset and ground balance are only if your machine is making noise, excessive noise. See so many people using those frequency scans and the noise cancel and the ground balancing every 5 minutes. There's no need for all that. There's really no need for it. So I'll just dial it back here a little bit. I'll dial the sensitivity back a little bit because it's going to be too much. It's hitting that gold ring right there. Now what I'll do is my iron volume is up high here, right? I'll go to my discrimination menu here. I'll discriminate it out. Now I have discriminated that out. So I'm getting a reject tone on that. See that? Now I'll raise my iron volume or my reject volume, discrimination volume here. If I can find it here, I'll go down. That's down to 0. That's down to 0. I'm not quite discriminated all the way here, so I'll discriminate it all the way out. I'll discriminate up to 70 here, and 70 should discriminate out that nickel also. Right? Listen to it. 0 iron volume, so it's a silent discrimination right there. Now I'll go to my iron volume here. It's that one here. That's being rejected out, right? So is this nickel, right? This nickel is also being rejected out. I'll accept that nickel right there. It's at 72, I'll accept this nickel. So I'm at 58 discrimination here. That is an accepted tone. And what it's doing is I can even discriminate out this penny here. I'll discriminate all 3 of them. I'll go up to 90. 92. 92. That is a discriminated target. I'll go down to 85 here. I'll go to 77. That's accepted. I'll go to 99. That's discriminated out. So that's a reject. That's actually a reject volume. I'll explain that here in a minute. If I were to put it in pitch tones right there, that iron volume, that reject volume stays the same. It's just an iron grunt. And this penny would give me an iron grunt. See, now watch. I'll turn it back on here. I'll go to the fast program. This will explain it a little bit faster here. So the full tones, what it does is when you discriminate a target out, it puts that into the lower range. It takes that discriminated target out, and it puts it down into a lower range, but you still have that sliding scale even in the rejected tones. So you saw that this gold ring, that penny, and that nickel had different tones, and it still has that sliding scale range, but it's a lower range. See what I'm saying? With pitch tones is different. When you discriminate in pitch tones, it gives you just an iron grunt, and you can control that iron grunt. So I'll just go to the fast program here. How about that? The fast program. And I'll discriminate it out here. I'll have to do some manipulating with the sensitivity here, so it's not so loud. So discrimination. I'll discriminate that out here. 3 now 81. 96 here. Listen to that. I'll raise my iron volume up here. Now watch this penny here. The nickel. And the gold ring. All 3 of those have the exact same rejection tone because they're rejected out, and I'm in pitch tones. So this is a single tone operation. It's a variable tone operation, but once you start rejecting that out, you get a 1 single iron tone for that. Now watch what happens when I only change my tonal option. I'll go to full tones here. That's a rejected tone also because my discrimination is still the same. It's a rejected tone there. That sliding scale is still there. See, look at that. See that? These targets would sound a lot higher if I would have lower discrimination here. and I do have my iron volume cranked up so it's really loud. You can adjust how loud those rejection tones are with the iron volume. The iron volume is a reject volume. So I wish they would have really made that just a reject volume instead of the iron volume all along. You know, even with the Deus 1. The Deus 1 operates different in full tones, but it operates the same in pitch tones. Pitch tones does the same thing, right? You get the same iron tone. You can adjust the iron tone on the Deus 1. But on the Deus 2, you can adjust the reject volume in full tones. Big difference there, and it still continues that sliding scale in the discriminated range when you're in full tones on the Deus 2. It's really awesome. It's really awesome to have that feature. So like if you're around a spot that has a lot of trash, you can still get that full tones even in your discriminated range. You can have that variable tone, that sliding scale of discriminated range, and you can tell how low of a conductor it is, even though it's being discriminated out. You know, it's very interesting results. This gold ring and that penny and that nickel being discriminated out, and they all have different tones, even though they've been discriminated out. So that sliding scale still continues, even though the discrimination is they're being discriminated out. It's a huge benefit, and the more you use that feature, that discrimination, and learn what discrimination is going to be best for that area, the more awesome it gets, man. I've really learned a lot about the discrimination and the tones in full tones recently in the last few months. It's pretty awesome. I'm still learning a lot about it, but the Deus 2 is always evolving. Thank you for watching.